Hello world, you're watching 80s Music Twin Ranked.
Welcome to the jungle.
And-
All right, now hold on.
Okay,
Past two we've done. Okay, last week
George Michael.
was George Michael's.
Previous week,
George Michael / Wham. Previous video was the Go-Go's / Belinda Carlisle. Today is the Guns N' Roses / with slash, I should say.
His name, Saul Hudson.
Oh yeah.
So,
The Jew.
good move, change your name.
Yeah.
Actually, he was British. He's a British
Okay.
American.
Saul is a Jewish name, so I just
Yes, that is a Jewish name. Last week we did George Michael. Did mention this, but he had 10 number ones between him and Wham. 10 number ones. Guns N' Roses only had one number one.
Yeah.
Right?
Sweet
Sweet
Child
Child
of
of
Mine.
Mine.
Yes.
Now, get this.
Slash said he hated the song.
Yes. Follow this with me though.
Okay.
You guys won't care. We'll think it's funny. Monkey was number one. It got booted, and Sweet Child of Mine replaced it.
Okay.
Prior to Monkey, Roll With It was number one by Steve Winwood. That's our next artist.
Oh, okay. That's where you were going with that.
Yes. And Steve Winwood, kind of interesting. Now, we're not doing Steve Winwood, but he was in a band called Blind Faith. He was in Traffic, but he was in a band called Blind Faith with Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton sang Knocking on Heaven's Doors, and so did Guns N' Roses.
I don't like their version. Well,
I don't either.
It's not that I don't like their version. I just don't like that song.
Yeah.
And Guns N' Roses,
You know
the
who,
phone ring, the phone dialing at the end, and
You know who originally sang that song? Bob Dylan.
okay.
That was the original artist. So we went from Bob Dylan to Eric Clapton to Guns N' Roses.
Gotcha.
You would think Eric Clapton's was the best, but he slowed it down. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Now-
Was his in Lethal Weapon 2 at the end?
Who knows? I haven't seen those movies in a long time.
Okay, go ahead.
Alright, so Guns N' Roses, the way they formed their name was there was two bands and they combined it. Okay, there was LA Guns
And Hollywood
and,
Rose.
and Hollywood Rose. And LA Guns, obviously, they based their name on Tracy Guns, who was in that band,
Which is the drummer.
and Hollywood Rose, Axl Rose.
Yes.
So the guy's last name is Guns, the guy's last name is Rose.
Guns
Guns
N'
N'
Roses. And then Guns bailed. They still kept it.
Yes.
Could he have sued?
Now there was
Nobody's my
the
name.
previous band.
AXL.
The manager wanted to fire Axl Rose, but they all live in the same house, and they're like, "We'll just form a new band, and I'll take care of that problem." No, we can't.
Yeah.
So
Now, I don't know if this is our first sight or sound of Guns N' Roses, but was it the Deadpool?
with Jim Carrey singing, I don't know.
Lip syncing to that.
I don't know
song,
because
yes.
the album came out
Right, it did come out,
and
but
it didn't do well for a
I don't
year.
know. I don't know if we heard any of them until that movie.
They said it was a whole year.
Yeah.
And Welcome to the Jungle was the first single released in the U.S.
Correct.
But, in the U.K. it was a different song. I can't remember what the title was.
There's something about Mr. Brownstone that didn't chart. I don't
There
know.
was another song. I can't remember what it was.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It wasn't a hit.
Nope. But and what's funny is I just watched a clip. Guns N' Roses is in the Deadpool. I did not know that.
Yeah, they're.
They were all standing around at the cemetery.
Yeah.
And then when Liam Neeson, who was the director in that movie, he went action and the harpoon was shot. Slash is the one that shot the harpoon.
Okay.
You can see from the hat that he shoplifted to wear for the rest of his life, basically. If you don't know who Slash is, he was in a recent Capital One commercial. You remember that? They're like things that are obvious, and they were this high school band was trying to pick a guitar player, and you got all these kids
Yeah,
ready
yeah.
to do their turn, and then Slash does do 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 do. They're like, you're hired. The kids are like, dang it. Like he would try out for a high school band. But you know what? You look, once 1993 passed, he wasn't with Guns N' Roses anymore. He got fired.
Yeah.
And so that last album, Chinese Democracy, he wasn't in it. Did you know that? So check this out. I was looking it up. The two guitar players on Chinese Democracy, their names are Buckethead
Yeah.
and Bumblefoot.
Yeah.
What?
Obviously the
Professional
their
names.
nicknames, yes.
Hopefully the parents didn't do that to them. Come here, Bumblefoot. You're like, is there a cat in here? So, anyways. But good guitar playing on that, despite
Yeah,
not being
that had
Slash.
Civil War, right? Which
What, Chinese Democracy? No,
Yeah.
that came...
Civil War was before
Yeah,
that.
that was before. That was on one of the Use Your Illusions, which hey, let's talk about records that Guns N' Roses had. Obviously, we've mentioned this in previous videos. They hold the record for the best-selling debut album, right? You know, started with Boston.
In the U.S.
Is it
Best-selling
Just
debut
US?
album in the U.S.
Okay.
Because the biggest-selling album in the U.S., this is number 18.
okay?
I had to read it several times to go, well, hold
Yeah,
on. And
yeah.
I saw the word debut in there. I'm like,
So you had Boston as the top debut, didn't get knocked out until Paula Abdul, and then the very next year, Guns N' Roses.
yeah, I think it said 18 million albums.
Overall, it sold 30, I think.
No, 18 million
In
the
the
U.S.
U.S. Okay. Yeah, we have that many people that like Guns N' Roses. I don't know. I didn't care for them when they came out. I really didn't. Despite that, we still have one of their songs in our top 10 of the decade when it was out, 1988. So we got Paradise City as one of our favorites for that
Yeah.
year. But and they got another one that's, I think, unbroken. When Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out, same year, same weekend pretty much, right? They were the top two selling albums. They held the 1 and 2 spot. Nobody else has ever done that.
So when Jim Carrey is the one that's lip synced
Yes.
Welcome to the Jungle in the Deadpool.
Right.
He wasn't really famous yet, was
No,
he?
he
Did
was not, and his character didn't last long
yeah,
either.
but was he even in
I think he was
Ace
already...
Ventura? I don't think came out
No,
yet,
no,
right?
he wasn't Ace Ventura, but he was on In Living Color at that time.
Okay.
So, and honestly, Liam Neeson wasn't either. I think he might have been in what's that Sam Raimi movie?
Dark
Dark
Man.
The same year, I think he was in that movie.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
became a star right after that.
Not the best Dirty Harry movie. They haven't had one since that was the last one, right? They're not going to make it anymore. Clint
I
Eastwood's way
like
too
it.
old.
I'm sorry, but
It is a good one, but it's not the best. I think
Might not
Sudden
be-
Impact is probably the best.
maybe
Out of all.
even the original was pretty good. Obviously, one of the first best three. I think the Enforcer and the other one, which I can't think of the name.
Because
Those are the two that I don't
everybody quotes. Go ahead,
make
make my day. I mean, from that one scene
Yeah.
where he's. But the best scene.
do you feel
Now-
lucky, Punk?
Yeah,
Is also
okay,
a
that was
good
the first one. Yeah, but the best scene in the Deadpool,
Remote
which is
control car.
the Deadpool.
Not
Which-
Deadpool.
not Deadpool. Yeah, we got Deadpool now, which is the
To
Marvel
confuse
character. But the Deadpool is a list of list of names, and you're betting on
Who dies.
who's gonna die. That's
I
what
s-
the Deadpool
and I think
is.
that's
There's
a-
websites that actually
I think
bet
that's a
on
real thing.
celebrities.
Yeah, they're like, this
that are
guy's pretty
old.
old. Who wants to bet on his death this year?
Yeah, that's a real thing. But for that movie, I'd say the best scene.
The remote control.
The remote control car is chasing a regular car.
Yes.
It's awesome because it's filled with like explosives, I
Yeah,
think.
and I think Siskel and Ebert said it's unrealistic because Dirty Harry would have just shot the remote control
Oh, okay.
car. I don't know, maybe. All right, so Welcome to the Jungle is also the subtitle of the Jumanji. Part two?
With the rock, yeah.
Yes. So that's where they get that title. I think the song was in the movie, but I can't remember. Sweet Child of Mine was redone by Sheryl Crow, and it's listed as one of the top 10 worst cover songs ever.
Usually
Agreed.
cover songs are better. I mean, well, not all of them, but didn't they have a whole album of those
They
cover
did.
songs too?
Punk,
Yeah.
They called it punk covers, whatever
Yeah.
that means. I don't know. But even listed amongst their songs, they have quite a bit of cover songs. So we already noted "Knocking on Heaven's Door." They did "Live and Let Die," which was a Paul McCartney song. They did "Sympathy for the Devil" toward the later part of
Right,
their
which
career.
was Rolling Stones. They actually were on. No, I'm sorry. They were on tour with Aerosmith, and by the end of that tour, they were more famous. Like I guess Rolling Stone, the magazine. That's why I was thinking Rolling Stone came to do a thing on Aerosmith, but Guns N' Roses ended up on the cover of the magazine.
Yeah, and so their first album's called "Appetite for Destruction."
Right.
They were known for destruction. I think we've done Motley Crue and Poison, but they had concerts destroyed because they stopped singing or they're late or whatever, and guests would actually riot. And
Two people died in one. One concert.
well, over
They were trampled on.
was in London. They were. "It's So Easy" was the song, and they were over there. They like to jump, and they've had other incidents where stages have collapsed. But yeah, 2 people died. They had to cancel that festival the very next year. So yes, they were very destructive. And yeah, Slash lasted for most of the albums, right? Axl Rose is really the only guy who was on everything. All right, so I'm going off of memory on a lot of this stuff, so I don't know.
Hey,
Do you have
very
anything
good.
else? I think.
I told you earlier videos. If you watch it now, you see Axel singing. He sounds like Mickey Mouse. It's just people have TikTok videos. Of
I
him.
know, and he's like 4 years older than Slash,
Okay.
so yeah.
Who names their kid Axel anyway?
It wasn't. His
Okay.
name is actually William. And he had this whole thing where he found out later in his career who his actual real dad was.
Oh, okay.
And that's why he, instead of using William, he put W. Axl Rose. And Axl was a band he was in. And they're like, "You like Axl so much, you just call you Axl." And then he adopted that. That was his name now. So, yeah. And so, I think that's all I have from researching him. Oh, other than the people he married. Actually, he did not marry Stephanie Seymour, right? Axl Rose I'm talking about. But he dated her. You know who
The
he did-
daughter of Don.
Everly Brothers.
Everly, yes.
Yeah, so he did marry somebody, and he wanted to have a family too, and for some reason the woman didn't. Yeah, he would be a good.
Well,
guy.
Steve Perry-
he didn't have a good father, and that's why.
Steve Perry already told us in that one song that you can't have a family when you're on the road. Faithfully, I think, or
Faithfully.
was it faithfully?
Right.
Or no, was it? I don't know if it's
I think
like
it's
it was.
faithfully. Yeah, but you know what? So I'm reading. He wanted to have a family, and they had a quote, and he said because he didn't have. I think Stephanie Seymour already had a kid or something when they started dating, so he wanted to raise a family and be a father figure. It said that in the quote. I'm like, that's funny. All right, so yeah. I think that's all I have for Guns N' Roses, so let's get to the top 10. All right, we got 3 honorable mentions. 2 for me, 1 for you. Your one is Patience, which was George Michael's final CD title. That was the hint we gave you. The word was on the board. And
Now I want to know in the concert, does he whistle?
is that him whistling? I mean,
Or
in the
whoever
video,
whistles,
Yeah.
whoever in the band whistles,
yeah, there's
do they do it live? Because I don't know if I can whistle or not, but if you had me do it on demand, it would not. I'd be like, what the heck?
I'll tell you what, and we probably could find.
I did see.
songs.
Okay, when we did Supertramp, I saw a video where
They whistled,
They
right?
whistled,
Yeah.
and it was live, and I'm like, dang, he did it pretty good for.
Is he whistling or whistle syncing? I mean, literally, you could press.
I would say no. It's the '70s, right? So
I
it's
know,
probably-
but you could press play, and all you have to go is. Who would know whether the whistling is coming out of your lips? We could actually probably find a top 10 of songs with whistling. Because I know enough people have done it.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah, but Supertramp, obviously, one of them. That was yours.
If he wasn't really whistling, he was using his illusion.
Right. How do you use your illusion?
I don't know. That was those albums.
Is that
Part 1 and Part 2
would that be Hypnosis?
released at the same time, right?
Yes, right.
And that was and they were ranked pretty high.
1 and 2.
The next time that happened was Nelly, who did it with Suits and Sweats, I think.
Okay. So, anyways, I did not like Patience because it's slow.
Right.
Yeah. All right, my 2, Sympathy for the Devil, which we just mentioned. I like their version compared to the Rolling Stones. And then Don't Cry, which right now I couldn't tell you what it even sounds like, but I picked it in my top 10.
Yeah, if you say Don't Cry, the only song I can think of in my head is Asia.
Right.
Don't cry. Da, 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 da.
Yes.
Which the guitar part in that song is so annoying. It gets so high, it's like shrieking almost.
And this isn't the same song, right? It's not a cover because I like this.
No, it's
in
not.
covers.
This is-
All right. So our top 10. Number 10, and this comes from Use Your Illusion 2. Album-wise, you would get Appetite for Destruction, correct?
Probably.
We didn't, but we would. But this comes from Use Your Illusion 2. It's Yesterday.
I'm a fan because
Of the
beginning.
Civil War?
No. Well, the movie just came out.
I know. I've heard it's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
the movie,
not
so-
based on the actual Civil War.
No, it's
300 years
It's
ago.
if we had one today.
Yeah. No, I'm a fan of the song
Because of the
beginning.
new
Cool
movie.
Hand Luke.
Cool Hand Luke, right? Strother Martin.
Yeah.
He says, what we have here is a failure to communicate, which that also applies to today from the current administration in
Yeah.
charge. None of them know how to communicate, at least in English. All right, so yeah, I like that part too. Yeah.
It fits with the music.
It does. It does. And okay, number 8, coming from Appetite for Destruction, probably the only song I don't remember ever being released from that album. And it did come, and they released the first 3 famous songs. Then they released something else, and then they went back and released this one. I have it at 7, you have it at 10. It's called Night Train with 1 T. So part of me thought, is
Now,
that Night Train or
when I
Night?
looked it up, I did see people putting it with 2 T's and separate.
Yeah,
So
it's not right.
Yeah.
No, and honestly, when you read it, it could be
Night Rain. Right. Yeah.
which my son thought that was what it was. I said, no, it's actually Night Train, and there's a word for it. When you do that, when you
Combine
have
two words, yeah,
and
yeah.
the end letter and the beginning letter are the same, you combine them and remove one of them. I'll have to look up what it is because it is a pretty neat word. Like if you came up with
It's not
another-
called contraction because they don't put the apostrophe.
No, it is a pretty cool word, so I'll get back to you on that. Another cool stat about our next video we're doing, already mentioned Steve Winwood. One of his earliest songs is called Night Train.
Yeah.
It is a space in between.
And you saw I ranked it high because I really liked it.
It is. I mean, he's
Musically, it's pretty good.
in the video. He's actually in one of the train cars playing his keyboards. Yeah, it is a pretty good
But
song.
and I also think I read that he did most of the instruments on
Okay.
that song.
Well, he was a multiple instrument.
Yeah, yeah.
When he was in his former bands, he played guitar, not the keyboards.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay. But yeah, Night Train for Guns N' Roses, number 8. Okay, so the word where you combine 2 words together is called portmanteau. And one of the other examples, you don't just need to have the last letter and first letter combined. They said you can blend 2 or more words. Like an example is smoke and fog comes up with smog.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact. That's a portmanteau.
Okay.
So that's Night Train right there. All right, number 7. Coming from Use Your Illusion 1. So we got the 2s together and the 1s are together.
So the ones that are probably going to be higher on this list, which would probably make Seth a better album.
Yes. All right, so this would be Live and Let Die from Use Your Illusion 1, remake of Paul McCartney's song. I put this at 5, you have it at 8. It's a little different sounding, obviously, than Paul McCartney's. I think he actually used horns, right?
Okay.
And it was admitted he didn't use any horns, it was all synthesizer. So he was able to sound it pretty good, pretty close, but obviously different with the voice.
Well, I mean, was it a horn or was it a flute? That's
you
probably
know
a
what?
flute.
Okay, maybe, but I'm guaranteed Guns N' Roses doesn't have a
Yeah, I would assume that was what that instrument was,
Okay.
a flute.
Yeah. But the is that horn section, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Theirs was not. All right, number 6. I'm surprised this is actually higher than that. Obviously, I put it at 5, but I put this new one at 11. Number 6 is your number 1, November Rain. Longest song in there.
Yeah,
It's a
8:57.
almost 9 minutes, and it's not even their longest song they've ever made. Number 3.
Well, you know what it is. Okay, every time I hear the song on the radio, I think of the video. And the video pulls at your heartstrings, right? Because they have
Yeah.
the beginning is a wedding,
Right.
and then she dies, and so now it's a funeral, and they're burying her.
And that's
so,
Stephanie Seymour, isn't it?
So but that you know, it's like, oh no, she died. He's alone now. So everybody's like sad.
I guess. He has 3 guitar solos in that thing. Which is why it's so long. Might as well have been 3 separate songs.
See, the one that's playing is
He played 2 of them.
no, it's Axel playing the piano. He's playing it in a video.
I see what you're saying. I don't know.
Is he playing it in a video?
I think one of the guitar solos is not done by Slash, though. There was another guitar player.
Yeah, marching band snares.
But I'm not a... Patience and November Rain, I'm not a fan of either one of them.
Yeah, I really like a.
Yes. Like, Kashmir is a long Led Zeppelin song.
Okay.
I can stand all of that. I cannot stand
Even though that's just so repetitive.
Yes, but I can't stand November Rain. Okay, and in November, honestly, it's snowing.
It's
out.
cold. It's a cold November rain.
Yes.
Right. So it's like summer rain, and it's not summer though.
Your favorite. You played guitar though, so I can understand it. Did you ever
Okay.
learn this solo?
No.
All right, number 5, coming from Appetite for Destruction. Your number 5, my number 6. Sweet Child O apostrophe mine, not of mine. Oh mine. So he's Irish. Sweet Child of Mine. Yeah, and again, who were we talking about? Where it's, was it Paul Rogers doing the guitars that are all over the place?
Yeah, the firm song.
Right.
Radioactive. Yes.
Yeah. So
If you sped up Sweet Child of Mine, would it sound like radioactive?
I don't know. As much as it sounds weird, you got that. I would say this is their most radio friendly song.
Well, it went to number 1.
That's why it went to number
yeah.
1, because it's yeah, and he does his influctuations on his voice are pretty impressive. On this too.
He's got the little dance with the legs going.
He does. He was a skinny guy. Right? Right, and
Okay, was that
he wore his
one-
bandana?
Yeah,
everywhere,
he's
too.
wearing a bandana all the time, which became a Bret Michael thing later.
Yes, copying. Right. Okay. So still one of their best songs, but my number 6. Next, at number 4, my 4, your number 7, Chinese Democracy. And it's kind of weird. We just talked about China last week too. So yeah, what was China like in the 90s?
Do they have a democracy?
I mean, now
is
it's-
it a democracy?
I know. Is it a democracy? That's a good point.
Yeah, how many times do we bring up China? There's a lot of Chinese themed that has to do with like Phil Collins had a song called "Like China" on his first
Like
album.
China. But was he
Philip Bailey, they're on the
Chinese wall.
Chinese wall.
Yeah, so, but I'll tell you what, for not having Slash, this was a pretty good song.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they were just trying to be political. They're like,
Maybe.
what makes songs do well? Maybe Graceland just came out of that. They're like, political stuff, that's where it is.
right. So that's number 4. By the way, because this song's up so high, I would definitely recommend getting Chinese Democracy over the Spaghetti Incident.
Yeah, I would not like having an album just because the cover, it looks disgusting.
Correct. So yeah, I'm like, hey, would you want me to play this? You're like, no. Break that, will you?
Well, you know what it reminds me of? Just the title reminds me of the religion about the
Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Hey, okay, do you want to know? Did you like, hey, tell me about the spaghetti incident. What happened?
See, I wouldn't mind hearing the story. I just don't need to see that picture.
Okay.
I do not want to know this. If that's from a restaurant, I want to know what restaurant it is.
So you
I
don't go there.
All right.
It looks like they opened up a can
Yes.
of Chef Boyardee.
Yes, and honestly, it almost looks like it's just a plate of worms.
Okay.
That's how bad the spaghetti looks. Okay, number 3, coming from Appetite for Destruction. My number 3.
After the
your number
spaghetti
4.
incident, I don't have an appetite.
That's true. All right, this song is "Welcome to the Jungle," and based on the video, they're calling L.A. the jungle.
Yeah. Did you hear what spurred it? The incident was when they were in New York. They got off a bus, and there was a homeless guy there, and he did that. He said,
Welcome to the jungle.
Well, not welcome to the jungle. He said that what he says at the end. You're gonna die.
Oh,
he
okay.
says those couple lines.
Yeah, you know what? I have to admit.
Oh, you know where you are now. You're
in the jungle, baby.
You're gonna die. Yeah,
I have to-
This guy said that.
I have to admit, there are a lot of the lines in this song I do like.
Okay.
And it reminds me, there's a Roddy Piper movie, Not They Live. He actually made another movie called Jungle Land that
Okay.
I watched. And it's similar to like Escape from New York. They throw him into this place
Okay.
and he's got to avoid things to not die. All right, so yeah, Welcome to the Jungle, number 3. And I think we mentioned this in a previous video. I don't think anybody else can do what he does with his lips.
Yeah, that's not lips. His lips don't even touch with that. That's just.
Can he still do that?
That's a tongue and roof of your mouth.
Yeah, can he still do that?
I don't know.
And what does it sound
I
like?
have never. I've never been able to do it at his speed.
Right. Okay, number 2. The one song that made our decade, or one of our years, our top 10 list for 1988. Paradise City. Coming also from Appetite for Destruction. So 3 of the top 5 songs are on this list. And
Paradise City is like a heaven on this place on earth.
yes. And
Just like Paradise.
This is my number 2, your number 3, and got, hey, tell me what Paradise City's like. Well, the grass is green and the girl's pretty.
That's his
That's
scripture.
all you get. Green grass and pretty girls. All right. So it doesn't sound like you're at
Well,
a
if
beach.
that's what it's like, oh, please take me there.
You always hear grass is green on the other side. So Paradise City is wherever you're not.
Why do you need me to take you? Go! You know, take me to Paradise City. No, I'm busy. You go yourself.
All right, and that leaves us to our number 1, which was not in the 80s, which is why it wouldn't have made our top 100 songs of the decade. That's why they're like, Paradise City made your list. How did the number one not? Because it came from the 90s. As a matter of fact, I think only 4 of the top 10 came from the 80s because they were 87 was their first year.
Yeah, right.
All right, so this came from either Use Your Illusion 2 or Terminator 2. So it's similar to George Michael. George Michael had a song from Beverly Hills Cop 2, but it also was on Fake. So they do that. They put out a movie song and then they put it on their album. But it could not be on the greatest hits because of the time with the movie. That's how that works. But my number one, your number
I'm trying to
two.
think, is it could or should? I can't remember.
You could be.
Could be mine, okay.
I think he says both though.
Okay.
But cool drum part. I tell you what. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the start of it, right?
Yeah, it's really,
Yeah.
speed gets going.
And I think it's during.
Don't be driving when this is
Do
on.
they-
Like,
I-
oh my gosh, you're going 90! Whoops, there's a cop. Dang it!
He pulls you over. You know why I pulled you over? I'll tell you why I was speeding. This song was on. He was like, "You're right. I'll just give you a warning." All right, but I think this song is used during the chase with the semi and the motorcycle.
Okay, yeah.
So, good place to put it too. But I like the video too. Right? He's actually going to terminate the band. And right at the end, you know, they show us what he sees in digital,
yeah.
and it says, waste of ammo to shoot him. That's the ultimate way, you know, it said, come on, fight me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not worth it. There it is, a waste of ammo.
Yeah, and they had to do that self-deprecating humor.
Right.
Always makes people like whoever's saying it.
Yeah. That's what you gotta do. If you want people to like you, make fun of yourself.
Yeah.
And you learn to let things bounce off you when you do that too. You know, like today, nobody lets anything bounce off of them, and
Everybody gets offended by
offended.
everything.
Yeah. So you could be mine. So there's a meme. There's a meme I just saw yesterday, and so this guy's using one word, mine, right? This guy is looking at a girl and says, I want you to mine. I want you, shoot, how did he say it?